Hello, and thank you for agreeing to take part in this experiment. This is the first essay that I'm going to look at in a number of 3 essays, and the title was What are the advantages and disadvantages of being famous? So as we talked about this, what I'm going to do is I am only going to be looking at discourse markers of your essay. I'm not going to be correcting any other aspect of the essay. Very briefly, I am going to tell you that regarding the content and the structure of your essay, the structure is correct in that you have started with an introduction, then you have included separate paragraphs for advantages, disadvantages, you have included your opinion, reason and example, which is the correct structure we talked about, loads of examples, and finally you've given a conclusion, and again in that conclusion you've given your opinion, reason and examples. So the structure of the essay is correct, the content is relevant, you have answered the question and given your opinion along the way. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to read through the essay, and you can see that I've highlighted some areas in blue, and blue indicates that there is a discourse marker which has been used correctly. I've highlighted some areas in red, which means this is something that either is a mistake or has to be included, there's something missing, and the green highlights what aspect it is that is missing, and I'm going to talk about that when I get to it. So let's begin. Being famous is not every time a good thing, because you have always to pay a price for becoming famous. So you've included a discourse marker here giving a reason for your previous opinion, which is correct. Now, when we use a discourse marker, if you remember, we talked about this in class, we need to use a specific punctuation. So something is missing, and what's missing is punctuation. And by punctuation, I mean it could be full stop, comma, colon, question mark. What is it that we would need after the discourse marker? So please include that. But it can allow you to travel the world or fulfill your dreams. So here you're giving a different side to your opinion, which is correct, a correct use of discourse marker. Again, I'm going to need a punctuation, please. One of the advantages is what you've started here, firstly, with these 4 very basic words. Firstly, you have prepared your reader that, okay guys, I'm starting a new paragraph. Secondly, you're telling your reader that I'm going to give you the advantage now, not the disadvantage. And thirdly, you're telling your reader that I'm going to give you a list of advantages, because you have started with one of the advantages. And you've done all of those with these very 4 simple words, which is correct. One of the advantages is that you are wealthy. Therefore, you can go shopping clothes so much as you want. You have started with therefore, you're giving as a result of the opinion that you just gave, which is correct. Again, I'm going to need a punctuation, please. Now here you have started with you can help your friends or your close family financially. Now this is an extra added point that you've given separate to what you talked about previously. So is this going to be an example of what you've just talked about, or is it a separate advantage that you're talking about? This is a very good place for you to include a discourse marker, because the reader doesn't know if this is an example to what you talked about before, or if you're talking about an added advantage. So please include an appropriate discourse marker there, not forgetting the punctuation. Or make an expensive gift. What's more, you can buy a big house with a swimming pool and a lot of other cool things you want. So you're adding another point here, adding information. You've used the correct discourse marker. Again, please, let's have punctuation. Now you'll notice that what's more and because I have underlined and I have highlighted in bold, and that's because if you look throughout the essay you will see I think there are 3 examples of because and 3 instances of what's more, and I just want to bring your attention to this and ask if you would please use synonyms instead of repeating what's more and then what's more and then what's more. Could we try and use synonyms instead? What you're doing here is you're adding an extra point. Let's use a discourse marker separate to what's more to add an extra point. The second advantage is that your celebrity lifestyle is awesome. You can go to big parties and meet a lot of other famous people. So you've given your opinion here, which is fine. And then I think here you're giving examples, is that right? So could we have a discourse marker, please, to show your reader that now I'm giving you an example of what I've just said? And could we please have a punctuation? So, perhaps you find new famous friends and with them you will be more famous. Here you have given so as a result of what you've just talked about, which is fine. Could we have punctuation? Because they have a high level of famous. So you've given something that you're talking about, your opinion, and you're giving the reason for it. Again, absolutely fine. The word because that you have said is correct, and I am going to highlight that in blue. It's correct. But again, we've used the same discourse marker as we've used previously. So if you would try and substitute that with a synonym. At the other hand, so now here, you're telling the reader that that's it with the advantages. Now I'm going to talk about the disadvantages, which is correct. But I'm sure you've noticed that we've started with an incorrect preposition. So would you correct that preposition, please? Your discourse marker is correct, but let's check the preposition, please. And again, we need the punctuation. You will lose your privacy because everybody wants to know what you're doing. Yes, you've given the reason for your opinion, which is correct. For that reason, you're giving the reason here. In every place are stalker and paparazzi. Yes, you've given the reason for what you've just talked about. You have to disguise you when you want that nobody or less people know you. Besides, crazy people want to have something from you, like a hair or handkerchief you used. Yes, besides, you're giving an alternative opinion or reason to what you just talked about, which is correct. Punctuation, please. So, as a result, punctuation, please, you have to recruit some bodyguards. The second disadvantage is that when you are famous, everybody who knows you want to say something about you to show the world, I know this famous person. Also, your secrets wouldn't be longer secrets. Again, you're giving an addition to what you just talked about, which is correct, adding information. Punctuation, please. Because the person who knows them will tell this to the paparazzi for earning money. You've given a reason, which is fine. Could we have a synonym for because? What's more, it would be very difficult for you to find true friends who stand by you. Again, as we've mentioned before, correct use of discourse marker, as in the location is correct. The type of discourse marker you're using, which is to give more information, is correct. An added piece of information. Could I just ask for a synonym, please? And please don't forget the punctuation. When I have the choice to become famous or live my life as before, I will choose the second. The reason is that my privacy is too important for me. Yes, so you've given your opinion, now you're giving the reason, which is perfect. Punctuation, please. I also find it is very important that you can trust on your friends when you tell them some secrets. I already met bad friends who told my secrets to other people. What's more, I will not be afraid when I go to a restaurant that something wrong is in my meat or some crazy people are waiting outside for me. Again, as we've mentioned before, could we have a synonym, please? On the whole, this is a very, very well structured, very well written essay. I can tell that you've put a lot of thought into it. You've given some very good opinions. You've given some very good reasons to back your opinion and many, many examples which make the comprehension for the reader or the listener that much easier. So thank you very much. If you would kindly take a look and try to correct, or shall we say, yes, pay attention to these little points that I've made, and hopefully we'll meet up in class next session. I will look over what you have done, corrected it, we'll have a little conference, and then we'll start talking about your second essay. Thank you very much.